This next song is called How to Get Better at Guitar Improvisation. So if you want to learn how to get better at improvisation, then this video is just for you, alright? If you haven't tried improvisation before, I did do an improvisation for beginners video over here that you can check out. But what we're going to be exploring today is how to level up your improvisation by adding even more tools and techniques into your musical toolkit. So remember, being a great guitarist is not just about knowing all the techniques and all the theory, but you need to have that musicianship factor to know how and when and why you're even using these techniques. And then you put it all together and that's your creative musical output. Now, before we get started, and I'm going to be introducing you 3 techniques that I personally use to improvise. Before we get started, let's just figure out what key and what chords we're playing, because I'm going to be playing these chords throughout the entire video. So it's like a song, and I want you to pick up your guitar and just try to play along as we go. And we're in the key of E major. And I'm just going to be playing 4 chords all the way. Starting with the E major chord, and then we go to B major chord, and then we go to C sharp minor, and then we go to A major. We're going back to E major, then to B major, and then to C sharp minor, and then to A major. So if you can, just play along with the E major, and then to B major, we go to C sharp minor, and then to A major. Alright, very good. Now, because we are in the key of E major, the first technique is called the universal scale approach. And I did cover it in this video here, and because it's the foundation of improvisation, but we're gonna cover it a little bit here as well. And universal scale approach is basically, it means that whatever key you are in, you just take the scale of that key and you just improvise playing notes within that scale. That's it. So in this case, we're in the key of E major, so we just play the E major scale. If you were in the key of G major, then you would play the G major scale. If you were in the key of A minor, then you would play the A minor natural scale. That's right. So you can play your E major scale, in this case we're in the key of E major. You can play it in any position. I'm gonna play it around here. You can play it however you know how to play it, alright? It doesn't matter where you play it, but this is my E major scale. As you improvise, when you're getting started, you might just play the scale straightforward, up and down the scale, and that's perfectly fine as well. So like this. Right, descend. And when you start getting the hang of the scale, how to play the notes and where the positions are, you can start jumping around the notes a little bit. Be a little bit more creative, something like this. Add in some articulation. That is basically it. It's very straightforward. Just play the scale and use your ear, listen and find what works, what doesn't work, what sounds good, what doesn't sound good, and what sounds good to you and then keep that, and that's more your original sound, right? Because not everyone will improvise in the same way, and I don't want you to sound exactly like me, nor do I want you to sound, like anyone else. So create your own style of improvisation. And with that, let's cycle to the next technique number 2. And this technique is called arpeggios. This mindset when you're improvising, what do you think of? Arpeggios. Now, arpeggios refer to playing the individual notes within a chord, linearly, one note at a time. So if I'm playing a chord like this, strumming, this is not arpeggiating a chord. Neither is plucking all the chords, all the notes like this. Right? We are playing multiple notes at the same time, but arpeggio refers to one note at a time, like this. Notice there's only one note sounding at any one time. I mean, of course, you have the decay of notes, but at any one time, there's only one note being activated. And that's called arpeggiating the chord. Now, when you start to improvise with arpeggiation, what you want to do is you're going to play the notes in a linear fashion. So not like this, like now we have this chord shape. You want to throw that away and you want to just pick out the individual notes. So for example, E major, and then B major, dominant, so in every chord, if you're playing a triad, there are only 3 notes within the chord. If you're playing a 7th chord, there are 4 notes within it. So what I want to do is to play these notes in ascending and descending order. So for example, we have the root, 3rd, 5th, and then the 7th, and then root, 3rd, 5th, and flat 7, root, 3rd, 5th, flat 7, root, 3rd, 5th, 7, alright? So notice how I'm only playing individual notes, but I can still feel the harmonic progression, because what I'm doing is I'm outlining the chords by playing the notes within the chord. Alright? E major chord outlined, B dominant 7, and A. Now if you're going to improvise, just play random notes within the arpeggio. Okay, slowly. Play the chord first. And by doing this technique, you can't really go wrong because you're just playing within the chord itself, right? It's even more foolproof than the universal scale approach. Because with the universal scale approach, you're playing notes that are not within the chord. But this one, arpeggio, you're playing only notes within the chord. You practically can't go wrong. Alright, now let's combine it with a little bit of universal scale. So, on the C sharp minor, arpeggio, universal scale on A major, E major, arpeggio, B dominant, arpeggio, universal scale, universal scale. Okay, now remember, this takes a lot of time and practice to get there, but I'm introducing you so that you know where you're headed to. Okay, so right now you have 2 mindsets for improvisation. First is universal scale, and second is arpeggios. Now let's go to technique number 3, and this is called using modes over chords, alright? Now, if you don't know what a mode is, don't worry, right? It can sound really complicated, but it is not. Alright, here's the complicated explanation. There are 7 modes, and it's called the Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and the Locrian mode, alright? There's more than that, but these are the major modes. Now throw that all away, alright? You don't need to know all those complicated names. All you need to know is that modes are based off your major scale. So we're in the key of E major, and E major mode is basically the same as your Ionian, okay? But forget about the name, okay? I want you to know that there are 7 notes within the major scale. And if you start on the note number 1 and you ascend all the way and you go to note number 1 again an octave above, that's mode number 1. That's one of your modes. And if you start on note number 2 and then you go all the way up and then you reach note number 2 again an octave above, that is another mode. You can do the same thing for note number 3, so 3 to 3, note number 4 to number 4, note number 5 to number 5, and so on. And that's how you get all your 7 modes, okay? So let me demonstrate. So this is mode number 1, it's the same as your major scale. Alright, mode number 2, you will start on note number 2. And then you end on note number 2. Mode number 3, so you start and end on note number 3, okay? And that's basically it. So you just need to remember you have modes that are starting on the different scale degrees. If you're interested in the fancy Greek names, you can go learn it, but it's not necessary. What you need to do now is, based on which chord you're playing, you need to pick the right mode to improvise over it. And this goes, and how you choose the mode is where the bass note of that chord is, alright? So if the bass is E, you're choosing the mode that starts on E, the first note. And if the bass note is B here, which is the 5th note of the E major scale, you just pick the mode starting on the 5th note and ending on the 5th note again, alright? And that's the Mixolydian mode. And if you're playing on the C sharp minor chord, the bass is C sharp, and this is note number 6 of your E major scale, and then you just play the note 6 all the way to note 6 again, and same for E major. This is note number 4, so you just play mode number starting on note number 4 all the way to note number 4 again. Alright, so let me demonstrate. Note number 1, and then here we're going to starting on note number 5. And then here, we're starting on note number 6. And then here, we're starting and ending on note number 4. So go back and have a lot of fun figuring out what all these modes are made of. Just shift your starting point within the major mode, the E major mode, or whatever scale, whatever key you are in. So let me demonstrate how it's done. Improvise. Here on the Mixolydian mode, here on the 6th, mode number 6, mode number 4, mode number 1, mode number 5, mode number 6, mode number 4, mode number 1, mode number 5, mode number 6, and mode number 4. Okay, now there are 3 techniques that I've just covered briefly, but now you know where you're headed with your improvisation, alright? And let me just do a little improv using these 3 different techniques blended together. You don't want to keep focusing on one, you want to keep mixing and matching them, and that's how you get your variety in your improvisation. Alright, so starting with the universal scale. arpeggio. Arpeggio again. Arpeggio some more. Modes. Universal scale. Arpeggio. Mode. Mode. And that's all. It's pretty straightforward. Of course it takes years and months and very, very long hours of practice, but it's super, super fun. And I'm telling you, once you learn how to improvise, it frees you up musically. I was so stuck in a box when I couldn't improvise. I only could play songs from point A to point B, but now I can play whatever I want, whatever comes into my head. And that's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And let me know what else I can teach you, and please help me to help you by subscribing to my channel, because it really encourages me and keeps me going to make more videos to help you guitarists from all over the world become better musicians. So do subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I'm going to be uploading new videos every single week to teach you how to be a better musician. And until next time, I will see you again.